Good morning from Panhandle Outdoors, America's only daily outdoor TV show. Your source for fishing, hunting, and information for folks who enjoy the great outdoors. Now sit back, relax. It's Panhandle Outdoors.
Good morning. Welcome to Panhandle Outdoors. Today is finally Friday, August the 15th. Got a great show lined up for you with a semi-special guest, but let's go into the weather, which it's, surprisingly going to be a little bit cooler today with a high of 86 and a low of 75. We're starting to at night see just a little bit cooler than it has been, but humidity's up there, and don't let this shock you too much. We got a 60% chance of thunderstorms today, the morning and the afternoon, with the southwest wind at 5 to 10. The good news, if you can get out, the high tide this morning was at 4:04 a.m. So if you like fishing a falling tide, when you're finished watching the shows, it'd be a good time to go after it and get it. With the low at 3:07 this afternoon, so you have the opportunity to fish both sides of this tide, assuming you can get out there. But the water temp is 85, which is holding pretty steady. Now the solar lunar tables, the high activity today is at 5:44 a.m. to 7:44 a.m. and then this afternoon at 6:03 p.m. and 8:03 p.m., which is, not a big shock coordinating with the before and after tides. Not a tremendous day. I think 2 fish out of 4 on the scale, but still, if you can get out, it's always a good time to go. Apalachicola at Bluntstown is 4.8, and it's on a slow fall all the way through Monday. So tremendous time to be catfishing, and I had to pass up an invitation to the houseboat this weekend, which is aggravating me. But Choctawhatchee at Caryville, on the other hand, is more locally affected. You got a 4-foot tide jumping or rising to 5.2 by Sunday, and then I think it'll turn and start to fall off from there. So we're going to go ahead and take our first break and be right back with our special guest. Hey, welcome back, and joined as usual by our illustrious mayor, Mr. Brudnicki. How are you this morning?
I'm doing good.
Hey, go ahead, get it over with.
Well, unless you're in the Soviet Union, today is the 19th of August, not the 15th. But
that may be a record. I took about 10 seconds to screw up this morning. That could be a record.
Yeah, I can't believe my ears. I heard it though. So anyway, everybody just want to make sure that you, when you write that check today, don't put the 15th.
That's right. It is the 19th. Don't put the 15th on it. So anyway, we got a couple of things to go over with this morning. We wanted to talk about fishing a little bit, even though we're not doing a lot of it right now. But some rods set up and some other things, and then we'll kind of get into the bag of the stuff that we take. And our rod setups are very similar, and line setups as well. So that's what we get a lot of questions about. But
and then we're going to talk about scalloping a little bit at the end. So
that's right. We have a scalloping and by the way, Winston called to, get us to do the show, and I thought, well, he's out of town. There's maybe, some kind of family thing going on. The man's scalloping is what he's doing. He's down at the Cape scalloping, if you've seen his post. And then, of course, somebody that I know very well went day before yesterday, and of course, I'm working, but that's okay. I can eventually forgive that. But he'll have a report later on today, so you can figure out who that is. But I do throw a lot of soft plastics, a lot of the Z-Mans that I love to bounce around, and so the setup that I use for that, this is a 13 fishing rod and reel, which are by far my favorites. They're light in weight, but they've got a lot of backbone that we've talked about. But when I'm throwing these, they're lighter baits, And if I'm using lead, it's these Texas eye that moves. So when it's laying there, the bait's so buoyant that it just kind of bounces around all over the place. But and so for that, and I've got my line color coded. So when I've got the red line on here, it's 10 pound. And that's on a bigger reel than I normally use. I know you don't, but it's this 4,000 size. It's because I want as much distance as possible out of this. And this is a 7'7" rod that is a fast action. So this, you can chunk this miles. So
when he says fast action, he's talking about the tip.
The tip, yeah.
Because it's more sensitive. And I think too, isn't it like if you are trying to go for some type of international or even national record on a fish, and you're talking about what you caught it on, and they make the determination of what the pound line is.
Yeah.
Don't you have to certify it? Isn't it supposed to be on that red line or not?
Red line? Yeah.
Well, I'm saying that is the true way when you've got red line, I remember this from a few years ago, that is certified that is 4 pound test with a 15 pound whatever.
Yeah, I mean any record.
I don't know.
Yeah, any record you have to have, you have to certify the rod, the line class. And I keep about maybe 18 inches or a little more fluorocarbon on it. And a lot of times what I'll use is the pink fluorocarbon because red's the first spectrum that disappears in the water at about a couple of feet. But the same thing there, depending on, knowing where you're fishing, a lot of times that's a 15 pound fluorocarbon leader. Sometimes it's a 10. If I know there's anything around oyster shells or something, I'll go a little bit heavier. But this allows me to throw a lighter bait a really long way and still be able to bounce it around and move it. So
what about telling people what kind of knot you do when you tie your fluorocarbon to the
I use that double uni knot. I mean that universal knot, you just tie it on both sides and pull it together. I've never had it I've never had it give way. It slides through your guides a lot better. Of course, you never really want your knot of any size to slide through these ceramic guides because you're going to knock them loose and that kind of thing. But if you have to, that goes through really smoothly. And you don't want to put a swivel or anything on there. It just adds weight to it. It's something else that can get hung up. And with the double uni knot, when you put a uni knot on both sides and pull it, you can take the tag end off right to the knot because it doesn't slip. I hate tag ends anyway. So,
and you can find all those knots if you'll go on YouTube. I found some wonderful information on YouTube where you can get, and they'll tell you double uni knot, and you watch the guy do it 15 times. Really super good. And those knots are really, really important. So.
Yeah, and we got to jump out here, take our first break, and then we'll be right back with some more information. Hey, welcome back. Continuing along that line of thought, this is the Paul Brown that you will hear us talking about over and over again, and this is a mullet color, which I like, and Greg Fish is one that's a little light. There's several different ones out there. The action is all fantastic. So if you got a little bit heavier bait, you could throw it a long way. So the way I set it up again on a 13 rod with the smaller reel, go ahead and use 15 pound on this because the bait's heavier. I can throw it a long way, but a lot of times you get into some really jarring hits with these things, and you hit and you're setting the hook at the same time. It can be bone jarring. So I'll use a little bit heavier there. And again, most of the time I'm going to use either a 10 or 15 pound, and I like 10 pound as a fluorocarbon leader because your bait swims better. It's better action in the water. But now I go down a little bit. This is a medium action rod with a fast tip, just like the other one, but it's only 7 feet 2 inches. Don't need to don't need to be able to
A little slack.
to throw it as far. You can throw it as far. It's just the bait's heavier, so that's where you get your help.
And these lures, they're pliable, you know. And I tell you, redfish will really make it go cattywampus. So you'll get one where get all twisted or screwed up.
The wire goes all the way through it.
The wire goes through it. So you can be careful to bend it back to get it back in shape. But once that thing really gets some really goofy bows in it, when you go to jerk it in the water, it will lose its action. So hopefully, I mean, trout don't really tear them up, but a redfish will bend that thing in half. But I'll tell you, it is and they put some really good hooks. These are similar to an owner's point hook. These hooks are probably 75 cents a piece if you ever, had to put a new hook on. But these will get destroyed before the hooks do. You know, some of the hard baits will last longer. You know, the hooks you'll be able to replace them. But that's a great bait, and we can't ever find them in the store anymore. Somebody's buying them. I'm still waiting for that company to send me some because we've done a lot of good advertising for them, but I haven't gotten anything.
Yeah, we get all the other stuff, but which is, if you go try to find them, that's partly our fault because when we see them, we buy all of them. But now this is the Paul Brown original.
Right.
The Soft Dine XL is what it's called.
He's the guy that started that.
Rapala took it over now. Yeah. But anyway, and this 13 fishing reel, the smaller size, the skeleton one, I call it. It's the least expensive of the reels, but I think it's the absolute best of the reels. So we're going to show you today the three things that we always have and are fishing. And this is a little bit different. This is a Temple Fork rod. I got 15 pound on this. This is what I top water fish with, and I'm typically going to use 15 pound on this as well, and tie it with learn to tie a loop knot. There's some very simple loop knots on anything that swims. The action will be better. It's hard to see here, but you don't want a lot of it, maybe a quarter of an inch. If it gets bigger and your hooks start getting fouled up in it. But this is a Temple Fork rod from when I used to fish Temple Fork. It's a 7-foot medium action rod, and I refuse to give this up because of the action that I can put on a topwater.
I don't think they make those anymore, do they?
They do make Temple Forks. Okay. They don't look like this anymore. But I mean, it's a good composite rod, but I mean it's heavier than these other rods. These other rods just weigh nothing. But I can throw it a mile with this, and I can. It puts the action on there that. And I mean, let me hold that. Yeah, which these need to be. Those hooks need to be replaced.
Yeah. See, these are the aluminum hooks. These are not the. Lift that up. The rod.
Well, nobody wants to see your face. Just tell them what you.
Well, I'm trying to show them. They will still rust, okay, and they stay sharp. But when they get like this, they need to be replaced because they'll break when you don't want them to break. And you can. It's a chore, but to get you a couple new hooks and put it on there because this
I got a box full.
Yeah, this is still in good shape, and these lures are anywhere from $10 to $12, $13 sometimes.
Yeah.
And it looks like a little speckled trout, but that's probably one of the best ones that we've had. I fished with a guy over in Jacksonville years ago, and he used to get them from Skitterwalk, and I guess they'd send them to him, and that was his favorite one. And I said I use the same thing over in Panama City. So. But yeah, see, these hooks need to be replaced.
Yeah, they absolutely do. Yep. And Greg mentioned, and we all know how expensive everything is now. And these things are $10, $12 or more. The Paul Browns aren't cheap either. They're what, $9, $10 now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
After a fish or any time you've been working through the weeds or anything else on anything you've got, inspect your fluorocarbon right here.
Absolutely.
If there's a weak point, if there's a frayed point, take the time to take it off, because at 13 bucks a throw, you don't want to donate this to the next fish that comes along. And that's where so many fish are lost, and that's why, I'll start out with a couple of feet maybe or better, and you can take those off. But like I said, this is hard to see. This has got maybe a 1/4 inch loop knot on it. They just work better. But inspect this after every fish, or even if you on the other stuff like the soft stuff, if you're pulling through the grass, inspect it, because there's no point just throwing money away. All right, we finished this segment, so we're going to take this quick break and come back with some special scalloping news. All right, welcome back. You want to say something here about this?
Yeah, another thing that I thought about when we went to break, about the line getting frayed. When your fish, especially this time of year where the water's dirty and you're twitching that thing back and forth, walking it along, and those fish come up, you may get 6 or 8 strikes. Hell, they miss it. They can't see it. Well, you know what they're hitting a lot of times? The line, right above the lure. So you will get frays on that, or the previous fish you caught may have got hit
across the back,
across the dorsal, or in the gill plate or something, and you'll be surprised, just for the heck of it, how many times I've reached down there and pull out, and snap it off and retie.
One more tip.
Jerk,
one more tip,
and it would be gone.
I don't care what kind of rod, what kind of reel you have, or how expensive they are. Do yourself a favor when you come back from fishing and you're about to wash them off. Take the pressure off the drag. Loosen it so that it's hand loose. If you keep those washers pinned down all the time, they're going to fail you at some point. It's not necessary. You can avoid it, but you got to do that. All right, before the scallop sensation, we got Tarpon Dock drawing here. And the first one is for a $20 gift certificate at Tarpon Dock Seafood.
Robert Burke from Vernon.
Robert Burke from Vernon. All right, Robert, congratulations. Now we've got a red snapper from Tarpon Dock Seafood.
Not a white snapper.
Yeah.
Bella Melvin from Fountain.
Well, we are covering the north part of the city. All right, very good, guys. You just contact the station here in Winston by email and pick up your gift certificate. If not, we're going to take them home, so don't worry about it. They'll be used.
Yeah.
All right, give me a report since I was at home, or working, I should say.
Well, I got to slide out Wednesday afternoon, and and it was a nice afternoon. It did get windy when we were out there. We didn't even hit the water and scallop until about 3:30 in the afternoon. Okay, the tide was
cooler.
Tide was low. And we went to a couple different spots. It's been spotty over there. Some people have got them, some people didn't find any, whatever. But I want to mention today, when you haven't been in the water for a year, it takes you a little bit of time to get acclimated. I've been scalloping for 60 years. And so do you have to have all this dive gear and all that? No, but you need to get acclimated to water. And I'm going to give you a couple of tips today that I knew yesterday, especially if you haven't been for a year, you've been doing it for all along, you get in the water, you start buzzing along and you're looking and looking. If you get
adrenaline rush.
Yeah, you get to an area and you spot a scallop, slow down. Because if you see one, there's probably another one in the area. You may have found a good spot. And just take your time and go slow, because people tend to, when they see one, oh, if there's one here, there must be a bunch. I need to cover all the area before somebody else does. Well, you'll probably swim by 20 of them going too fast. If there's one, look look 10, 15 feet, 20 feet to the right, ahead, behind, all around there, and make sure you milk the area, just like when you're fishing. I mean, that's what we do. And if we both get a strike the same area, put that power pole down.
That's why Donna wears us out all the time, is because she's slow and methodical.
Do
not scallop behind my wife. You will starve to death.
You won't find nothing.
You won't find any.
And that's what so go slow, and you want to, and as far as when the tide's running and stuff like that, and that grass is pushed over, it makes it tough. And those times, get in the areas that there is sparse grass, so that you've got places over there that you have a chance to see them. Or if you get in areas that you know where they are, just have your water shoes on and walk along slow. And I'm gonna tell you, I've found thousands with my feet.
Yeah, but that's not fair. They're the size of skis.
Yeah,
That's no, you
I have
cover a
16
lot more
shoes, so I can step onto it.
All right, well, real quick before we have to get out of here, on a scale of 1 to 10, you've made one trip, you went to 2 spots. How would you say the scallops are in St. Joe?
It's probably right now 50% of it what it was last year.
Okay. All right. Maybe. Thanks for joining us. I hope you had a great time. We had a great time, and you learned something maybe. But God bless and have a great weekend.
Thanks for watching America's only daily outdoor TV show, Panhandle Outdoors with Winston Chester, featuring hunting, fishing, and other activities and information to help you enjoy the great outdoors. Join us next time for Panhandle Outdoors.